Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm Paul Stevens, editor of Short-Term Rentals, and welcome to this Rockstars 5.0 webinar on what does brand loyalty mean in the short-term rental space, sponsored by Flywire and NoiseAware. This is me, Paul Stevens, the host for today's session. And we're now going to check out this short video from one of our Rockstars series sponsors, NoiseAware, a privacy-safe smart noise monitoring solution for short-term rental property managers and owners. Check this out.
What do property damages, angry neighbors, and sound ordinance violations have in common? They all begin with a noisy guest at your property. That could have been resolved with NoiseAware. Through quick installation and 24-hour monitoring, NoiseAware is an essential tool that monitors noise levels on your property to help protect your profits and peace of mind. NoiseAware, rest easy.
So in terms of webinar guidelines for today, please keep your sound on mute and your camera off if you're not speaking. I'm being assisted by my colleagues Danny and Flor today. All of the details are in the chat, so please do post any questions you have there throughout as well. A recording will also be sent around to everyone after today's session. And we have one more short video from our second Rockstars series sponsor. This is global payments enablement and software company Flywire.
Flywire helps travel businesses reduce costs and improve guest experience when collecting payments. Without Flywire, travel payments can be costly and inefficient, requiring the business to work with multiple vendors like payment processors, merchant banks, and more. The process results in difficult manual reconciliation, high fees on both sides of the transaction, and no dedicated support for payers or merchants. We solve these pain points through our Flywire Advantage, the combination of our next-gen payment platform, our proprietary global payment network, and our travel-specific software backed by our deep industry expertise to improve both sides of the payment equation. Guests pay in their local currency and with their preferred payment method, whether it be credit card, local bank transfer, mobile wallets, or other local payment methods. Flywire leverages our significant scale to ensure travel businesses and guests alike enjoy low fees and competitive exchange rates. Businesses receive the exact amount that they bill in the currency of their choice for both domestic and international payments, all reconciled to the penny. If there are any questions along the way, Flywire's around-the-clock multilingual support and dedicated account managers are there to help. To learn more, visit travel.flywire.com and request a demo today.
So a big thank you to NoiseAware and Flywire for sponsoring this webinar today. So let me begin by introducing our Rockstars lineup for today, and we're going to start off from the left. Parker, please introduce yourself.
Hey everyone, I'm Parker Stanberry. I am the founder and CEO of Oasis Collections. We are a short-term rental / flexible accommodations brand that I founded in Buenos Aires 12 years ago. We're now based in Miami, and we operate a portfolio of about 2,000 properties across 20 markets in the US, LATAM, and Europe, and excited to be here.
Thank you very much, Parker. Next up, we have Amanda from Homes and Villas. Please take it away.
Thank you, Paul. Hello, everyone. I'm Amanda Moore, Senior Director of Global Marketing for Homes and Villas by Marriott International. We launched our home rental product in 2019, so just shy of our 3-year anniversary coming up here in May, and very excited for that milestone. And excited to talk about this topic specifically because our product in and of itself inherently aligns with brand loyalty in the Marriott Bonvoy program and what our customers were searching for both pre-pandemic and post-pandemic. So thank you, Paul, for the invitation, and excited to be here.
Pleasure. Thank you very much, Amanda. And next up, we have Viola.
Hi, everyone, and thank you, Paul, for inviting me to this very interesting panel. I'm Viola Palescandolo. I'm from Italy, and I'm the founder and CEO of Black Platinum Gold. Actually, I started my career as a naval engineer, so quite different compared to what I do today. I was in Amsterdam and I worked for an elite group of ultra luxury super yacht builders. And let's say that's where I gained my main expertise in the luxury industry. I enjoyed those years, but in the end, I always knew that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. So in 2017, I founded Black Platinum Gold in Amsterdam. And of course, since then, the company has been growing and developing in many ways. So today is an online auction platform entirely dedicated to luxury travel worldwide. So you will find experiences and vacations across the globe, very different one another, from safari in Africa to boutique cruises to private islands, villas, and so on. And it's also an online editorial resource providing articles, travel guides, insights and inspiration for, let's say, passionate travelers worldwide.
Thank you very much, Viola. We were hoping to be joined by Nicky as well from Third Home, but unfortunately he's had to pull out at the very last minute due to a family situation. So we hope everything is well with Nicky, but we will plough on as planned with our excellent speakers here. So thank you first to our speakers there. So just to add a little bit of context to today's discussion, we're going to be exploring Black Platinum Gold's business model after the travel auction platform launched its own loyalty platform back in February. So Viola hopefully can attest to this. We were hoping to hear from Nicky about his home exchange partnerships with the companies on your screen at Third Home. I'm sure he'll be able to follow up with anyone keen to talk to him after this session. Marriott, of course, as Amanda referred to there, launched its home rental offering, which Homes and Villas by Marriott International back in 2019 as a new option within the company's travel program, Marriott Bonvoy. And finally, I also want to touch on this here, you can see on your screen with Airbnb. So its CEO, its CEO Brian Chesky spoke about how brand strength is continuing to drive response levels, and has also hinted via Twitter about exploring a possible subscription model. And there you can see in the middle of the screen as well, interesting quote about how brand marketing is increasing awareness among potential hosts and guests, helping them understand the benefits of hosting and booking stays and experience. So hopefully within the discussion, we will get a chance to refer to a couple of these points here. So I want to get straight into the conversation here, and we're going to start off with Amanda and look at how brand loyalty has actually developed as a result since the onset of the pandemic 2 years ago. Amanda, if I'm correct in thinking this, I believe you have 160 million Marriott Bonvoy members now as well. You said that you launched Homes and Villas back in 2019, and since then we've seen a number of hotel companies as well try and get into the home rental space. So, you know, what opportunities were out there before the pandemic, or do you still see that out there now for brand loyalty?
Yeah, so we believed there was real opportunity for brand loyalty even pre-pandemic, right? And we're seeing that even during post-pandemic and during the pandemic, that loyalty and looking for options that suited our members' trip occasions was really critical. So pre-pandemic, we were hearing from guests that when it came to home rentals, it was something they were interested in. It was something that they did, right? But they were quite often overwhelmed by the amount of choice that was out there. They had no real filter to work out whether those homes were of high quality or if they would really deliver on the pictures that they saw online, and oftentimes were disappointed when they would show up and be met with an experience that was different than they had anticipated. And I would say during the pandemic, what we saw especially was that members were gravitating a little more towards home rentals for the cleanliness aspect, for the privacy as well. And so our product really fell nicely in terms of meeting our members kind of where they are, right? And ensuring that when it comes to brand loyalty, if we want to retain those members, having products that suit every single trip occasion is where we will win. And then furthermore, then delivering on all the things that they had concerns over. And that's where Marriott really comes in when we talk about trusted standards and 90 years of hospitality experience and the reputation we have for quality, and then how we apply that to the home rental market. Our members can trust in that. They do know that if we're curating the homes, we have a certain level of standards. We know that when they show up, they're going to be met with great customer service and an experience that delivers, which then leads to long-term loyalty as a result.
And I mean, you mentioned there the 90 years of hospitality experience. You refer to the cleaning standards as well. I believe you also have this highly curated approach in terms of quality assurance as well. So I guess you've touched on it a bit there within that answer, but how do you think all of that comes together to engender this sense of actual long-standing loyalty with your guests?
Yeah, so we take so much of what we have learned in the core lodging business, right, and on the hotel side, and we can easily operationalize that for the home rental side. And so our quality assurance program that we have, so we conduct audits on our homes, we look at the cleanliness, the safety, service, and performance that's delivered by each of our property management companies, right? We ensure that we are partnering with people who are very like-minded within, our collection of homes so that we can deliver on those trusted standards that people have come to know and love and expect from someone like Marriott. And so, especially during the pandemic, when we talked about how, trust and loyalty were becoming even more important because people wanted to feel safe and secure in the home they were booking, but then the cleanliness aspect as well. So Marriott's commitment to cleanliness, came to life in terms of what to expect when you entered our hotels. And we carried that same assurance and program through to our home rental space. And have gotten really positive feedback from our members in terms of our role in helping to curate those homes, making the selection process and the discovery process of homes that they're looking for easier, but then delivering on the standards. So when they show up, they know what they're going to get, and we are meeting and exceeding those expectations.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Amanda. We'll turn to Parker next, because your company was founded more recently, 2009, I believe. Since then, you've been backed by a hotel company in Hyatt, and also, I think, part acquired by the Casa you mentioned as well before. So I think you can offer a really interesting perspective to this conversation as well, because I guess what loyalty programs, if loyalty is the word that you're going for, do you actually see in the short-term rental space? Is it something that is challenging or easy to implement in this space?
Yeah. So from a operator, short-term rental operator perspective, I do think it's challenging, and I haven't really seen any sort of traditional loyalty programs among operators. And just throw out like some names of, when I say operators, I mean the sort of property management, operators on the ground, like a One Fine Stay, Sonder, being a couple of the better known on that side of the fence, versus sort of more of a brand or a booking platform like an Airbnb. So on the operator side, I haven't really seen a traditional loyalty program. Thinking of a traditional loyalty program from the hotel or airline perspective of earning points, building levels of status, redeeming points for stays, and I think the reason for that is a couple. One is scale. I think if you are, it's a bit, if you haven't been around for 90 years doing this, if you look at some of these companies, even ones that have achieved some scale, like Saunders, it's $2 billion valuation now. They have quite a bit of scale, but they are still in, I don't want to misquote their numbers, but let's say they're in 30 or 40 cities, and they've probably got 6,000 or 7,000 properties, right? 6,000 or 7,000 units in 30 or 40 cities. It's fairly large, but that's not in any way a global scale. So if, how do you engender loyalty? And they're huge within our space, right? So if you're only in 3 cities, a traveler may have a great experience with you, and they think the next time they travel, they had a great experience in Buenos Aires, they're going to Amsterdam, they go to Oasis. We're not in Amsterdam. Okay, well, let me try to think of going to them when I go to Los Angeles. They're not in Los Angeles, right? So I think the geographic, constraint of scale is a pretty big barrier. I also think the inherent variation in the product for many short-term rental folks is also a challenge, right? Because we can systemize our processes, we can systemize quality control procedures, which we're super focused on, but the difference between a studio apartment and a walk-up building in Paris versus, the building doesn't have any amenities. Maybe it's an awesome location, but it's a small apartment. The building doesn't have amenities. And the difference in that in a, luxury 3-bedroom penthouse in a, New York City building with a ton of amenities and a doorman, it's such a breadth of product and experience that I also feel like that it's a challenge for someone to think, oh yes, this is the experience I had with, Oasis or whoever else, and I know exactly what I'm going to get. Our challenge and desire, of course, is to explain that while the home may be different and the physical infrastructure of the property may be different, which is one of the great things about short-term rentals, what you can count on is the service level, the quality control, the responsiveness if you run into an issue, et cetera. So, for this reason of scale and diversity of product, I do think it's a challenge. What I've seen folks do and what we have done also in the space, because a traditional loyalty program, again, may not be the best fit, is a subscription model, which several folks have rolled out during the pandemic, including ourselves. Maybe a different twist on loyalty, which we can, I believe, talk about a little bit more later.
And on that basis, talking about the consistency of the product and of brand expectations, I mean, I've already in this conversation alone mentioned brand loyalty, brand awareness, but do you think these terms actually exist? Are they things that we should be talking about?
I'll jump in there now. I think Amanda's perspective on this is super interesting because again, at the Marriott sort of scale and sort of, I think they've taken a very interesting and smart approach to this, which is, leverage a massive program and a massive user base and apply that to the rental space via partnerships that give them enough scale that what I just talked about before isn't going to happen, right? They're going to offer the coverage that is sort of necessary. If you're a smaller operator, I think it's certainly a worthy goal and it's worth thinking about. But I think you've got to think about it in a different way, in a more creative way, maybe via making partnerships with other like-minded companies, so to expand your reach. We've thought about, we're an urban operator, we're in 22 cities, urban operator. What if people come to us looking for a more vacation rental type product? Could we partner with a more vacation rental oriented company to offer that type of stay, expand our reach? The subscription model, really, even though you're only in 20 cities, sort of offering such a compelling proposition in those 20 that folks really rotate through your properties whenever they're in those 20 cities, and maybe they even make their living decisions in this new era of remote work based upon where Oasis is. We're offering a subscription program that essentially could replace a full-time apartment. So it's really more of a housing alternative than a travel alternative. And so if you're thinking, okay, what are the 20 cities they cover? Oh, I'm really interested in Barcelona, Buenos Aires, and Miami. If I could live full-time between those cities via Oasis, that's a pretty compelling proposition versus, thinking of us as a travel solution. because our scope is quite limited. So I think it's definitely worth brands in our space thinking about, but in a more creative way, because there are some challenges.
Thank you very much, Parker.
And Paul, I just wanted to chime in because I think so brand awareness, right, is so hard. And especially when you maybe are small or you're a startup or you don't have we are very fortunate that Marriott has significant brand awareness in and of itself. That connection to that program then allows us, like our members, they know, they see, they recognize, they understand, right? But even for us as a platform, we need people to come to us naturally and organically. When they think of Marriott, do they think of a home rental, right? Mm-hmm. And for so many brands in the startup space, and that's kind of experience I have previously, it's very hard in this market, in this space. It is uber competitive. It is very expensive. And you have this push-pull of where do I invest my money, right? What matters to the consumer? Do I invest in building brand awareness because long-term that's going to pay off, or are there other areas where I have to make really hard choices? And so I do think brand awareness is relevant in today's landscape when we're across the board, when we're talking about any product, but it is not an easy feat by any means. And it takes a lot of time to build awareness, right? There is no silver bullet. It does not happen overnight. And so I think that was definitely an interesting question for this panel.
Thank you. Thank you to both of you there. And it's interesting. I think if we go across to Viola, because I'm really interested that you, Amanda there and Parker talked about this competition and this fight to be noticed with these loyalty programs as well. You yourself have launched a loyalty program as we mentioned in the context there. But could you actually describe, Viola, your kind of nuanced business model and how you've been affected by the pandemic?
Yes, absolutely. Well, so first thing that I want to say, I completely agree with Amanda regarding how difficult it is to build brand awareness. And I started a company from zero. I mean, it was just a vision in my mind, and then it became a company, but I never had huge budgets from the very beginning. So I know how difficult it is to build the right kind of awareness. And by right kind, I mean the awareness that can actually bring to conversion. So not only showing in front of people, but actually building a relationship with them. So first thing I wanted to do when I started to build my business model was to create something unique and innovative. So I wanted to go beyond the simple, let's say, services in exchange of a fee model. So I wanted to create something based on a virtuous cycle. So something that will maximize each involved party's asset. So by involved parties, I mean, of course, the brand and the properties as well as the travelers, because the company operates on both B2B and B2C side. So the first thing my vision revolves around is the difference that we have between price and value, which is strictly related to the concept that luxury is really personal. So luxury is not something related to the number of stars of a hotel or a resort, but it's really something that it's different for each one of us. So for example, for you, luxury could be meaning being alone, completely disconnected on a tree house, and for someone else could be partying on a rooftop in Dubai. So it's something really personal, as well as the same vacation could be for you just another trip, and for someone else like the trip of a lifetime. So here revolves the whole concept of the auction. So you are the one deciding how much that is worth to you, so how much you want to bid. And then most important, you are the one that can make that experience priceless. So this is the whole core message of Black Platinum Gold. So we speak to, we empower dreamers to be go-getters. So we want you to fight for what is important to you. And then it's up to you to make it priceless. So it's up to you to make that experience a transformative one, and bringing home like something authentic that made you richer. And regarding, of course, the pandemic hardly hit the whole travel industry, of course, but my company's case was a bit different because we don't process bookings or reservations. So we sell at auction travels and vacations. And what happens is that the auction winners gets a voucher. And with that voucher, they complete the reservation directly with the reservation team of the property they won the stays at. But the most important part, let's say, to secure loyalty and to, let's say, stay afloat during such a hard time was not only to give people value and convenience, but most important, to build an emotional connection with them. And the way you do this, it's by giving them what they want and what they need, even before they know that they need it. So first thing people on lockdown needed was to have something to be looking forward to. So imagine that we are spending these long days full of boredom, full of scary news, and first thing you want to have something to dream about during those long days. So this is the first thing, of course. Then you want to, let's say, add some thrill and excitement and fun on that difficult period. So the whole auction process, so the desire that is built day after day, bids after bid. So this is interesting because, for example, the price that you're willing to pay after 5 days that you have been there desiring something and looking forward for it to end is going to be always much higher than the price that you were willing to spend on day one. So, but also this is like a motivational driver and a real psychological driver towards a personal well-being. So something that can be rewarding for you. So there is also not only the trip that in the end you win, but also the experience around that it's something that you need in such a difficult time. And also, last but not least, people wanted to feel safe regarding their money. So they need to know that they're not going to lose their money for any issue related to the pandemic. So I think that the first thing that brands should do during a pandemic was, even if in the short run, on the short term is a loss, they should secure an immediate and easy and prompt refund for any COVID-related issue that could prevent from traveling, because this is something that builds in the long-term trust and gratitude in customers, and they will always remind of that. So to be honest, in my case, of course, it was not an easy time, but in the end, I saw a lot of enthusiasm from people while they were on lockdown, as well as from properties, because also my model is based on, I mean, each agreement is very tailor-made, so I don't have like a standard one. But as I was saying before, everything revolves around maximizing each party's assets. So bringing all the auction system brings not only, let's say, the normal awareness, so just people that see something about you while they're doing something else. What happens with the auction is that you are intrigued by, for example, spending a week in the Maldives, and the first thing you're gonna do before placing any bid will be to go and learn more about that property. So it's something that actually brings a lot of high quality consideration. So not only awareness, but a level up, a level beyond awareness is consideration to the properties that are actually partners and in the whole auctions process. So that's, I mean, I could talk about this for hours.
Your passion for your business now is very, very
as you can feel it, yes.
I've seen a question in the chat as well. I wouldn't usually come to it so early, but I think it's probably relevant for this section of the conversation. So Daniela from Marbella Holidays has put in this question about it's all good for big companies to develop a brand with a big budget and a marketing team, but what about some advice for small companies? Amanda, I think you've got an answer you'd like to give Daniela there.
Yes. I think so. From my standpoint, the answer for big or small companies actually is the same. If I were in charge of a marketing for a small business or a big business, I would first and foremost, I would start with SEO. I'd move into paid search, and then I'd look at probably affiliate marketing and partnerships with like-minded brands. So brands that may have a little more influence than I do, who could help use their communities and people that would be target consumers for me to help build that awareness. But I, in my heart of hearts, am more of a performance marketer than probably some of my more like brand marketer peers. So I'm very conscious of, for every dollar I spend, how many dollars am I going to make? And so for us, even with Homes and Villas by Marriott International, we focus on a lot of paid search, a lot of our SEO, and making sure that those foundational elements, so that when people are looking, right, when we know that they are in the market and they have travel intent, that we're there. We're top of the search results. They can discover us in a lot of the places in which they're searching, and through affiliates, that might be blog partners or other travel sites where we are present and therefore relevant. And a lot of these things you can build your own budget against. So if you are limited in that capacity, they can still be extremely efficient in terms of ROI.
Thank you.
Let me chime in with something there as well. And what we sort of ended up, our journey was trying to build a true brand and brand awareness, doing the performance marketing tactics that Amanda was speaking about, but also doing brand marketing, which again, general awareness. So people, when they're not necessarily even looking for a trip, have heard of you, right? That's real brand awareness. You know, Nike has brand awareness. I don't have brand awareness. No one has heard of Oasis, right? A few people have, but at a high level, no one has heard of Oasis. So the performance marketing piece is, you know, at least when they're looking for a trip to Buenos Aires, I show up. That's what Amanda was talking about. Cool. That's definitely a piece of the puzzle, and a really, you know, an angle, depending on the type of business you are. Maybe that is the primary angle. We were doing that and trying to build the true awareness. It became too expensive. The space became too competitive. So we really pivoted to more of a B2B sales strategy. So to build awareness with like 7 billion people in the world is really hard. But if you're trying to build awareness / loyalty amongst a group of 5,000 target businesses, right? And you set up your verticals, whatever they are, and trying to, you know, build some general awareness and consideration, as Viola said, amongst 5,000 companies isn't that hard. I mean, it's hard. It takes work like anything. It takes good positioning, but it's not that big of a hill to climb. So that's really what we started that about, kind of stumbled into the B2B space maybe 6 or 7 years ago, having been operating for 4 to 5 years before then. And then about 3 years ago, where, as you mentioned, Paul, we sort of made a harder pivot. We sold the more short-term rental B2C vacation-oriented piece of the business to Vacasa, and really focused what we had left on sort of urban extended stay, and really went with a B2B approach there, and have, you know, gotten some great clients. So, you know, just another thought there. You know, the B2B approach, sort of what's your channel strategy in addition to what is your marketing / brand strategy.
Parker, I love that you brought B2B into the conversation, because it never gets the love.
It doesn't. It doesn't.
And it's usually because it is in no way sexy. Like, everyone, you know, you try to talk about these things with people and they just want to see the big splashy things and the exciting things. But B2B is so critical and can really do a lot for your business. It's a little, I don't want to say it's a sleeper, because it's really not, but it's just not what people talk about.
No, it's not, especially in this space, especially in travel / hospitality.
Yes.
Yeah. The sexy thing is building a consumer brand and creating that awareness and interest, and the sexiness of it. But going to Facebook and winning any piece of their travel business or any piece of their relocation, global mobility, it's called within the industry, their global mobility spend. They're sending someone to Sao Paulo for 2 months. They're doing an intern program in Silicon Valley for 2 months for thousands of people. Those are big chunks of business. and relatively easier to identify and target. So
thank you.
agree.
Thank you, everyone. I'm going to jump slightly because we've got some questions that I really want to make sure I'm getting to all of you, but it's also hopping on something that Parker said actually as well about this brand awareness. I think to some degree, Airbnb is still, rightly or wrongly for some people, still seen as the short-term rental brand, and there's still some confusion maybe outside the industry what they can do as well. But do you think, Parker, that there's a different approach to driving loyalty when it comes to targeting corporate business travelers or individual travelers? We've seen all these different loyalty membership schemes, whether it's hotel companies like we're seeing with Marriott, Bonvoy, we've seen Selena, and that's going public as well. What would you say to that?
Yeah, I think to your first point, there's definitely a bit of a kind of confusion outside of the industry as to what kind of Airbnb is versus what Sonder or One Fine Stay or Oasis are. Airbnb is a booking platform. It's a OTA, online travel agency, to me akin to Expedia, Booking.com, Airbnb. Airbnb just happens to be focused on a different type of product primarily, but they are a technology platform that brings together sellers or operators and travelers or people looking to book an accommodation, right? So that model, just like Expedia's or Booking.com's, is much easier to scale, and it's a fantastic business. That's why it's a $100 billion business. It's a fantastic business. It's easy to scale. It's much easier to scale, and thus, because of their scale, easier to drive awareness and loyalty. Then players like operators, just like with Expedia, the Standard Hotel markets itself on Expedia. That's part of their go-to-market strategies, part of the way they reach consumers, part of the way people like me reach consumers, because of what we just spoke about. It's very hard to reach them directly all the time, is by leveraging Airbnb. So just as you can book a Hyatt hotel or the Standard or whatever hotel you want on Expedia, you can book generally an Oasis property, a Sonder property, or a Paul's apartment in London on Airbnb. So it's quite a distinction, and I think it's one that, again, has blurred that Airbnb is a aggregator, a booking platform that has millions and millions of options of all kinds, and then you have the operators who are on that platform providing the property and the hospitality services, right? So that's kind of to your point number one, and to kind of take that back to the loyalty piece. As I said, because of the scale that a platform can achieve, the awareness piece, and thus in some sense the loyalty piece, is easier to achieve. Airbnb doesn't have a loyalty program yet, but I would think they would at some point. I think, again, it's probably a bit more viable for them to implement than it would be for someone like me to implement, and thus, and then on the operator side, you mentioned you do have some, Selena, the Inspirato examples that have attempted to achieve some semblance of the loyalty program, mainly through these subscription models that have arisen through the pandemic.
Thank you very much, Parker. And I thought it was fascinating how Chesky actually put this on Twitter, and he said, "What do my followers want to see Airbnb launching within the next 12 months?" And I think Airbnb perhaps has this quite unique resonance with the industry, and resonance is something that I want to go to Viola on this as well, and seeing what you do with Black, Platinum, Gold. How important do you think it is for brands to actually be able to resonate with customers, with their values? How do they achieve this?
Well, first thing, I think, today there are people that are willing to spend more, but they have also, of course, higher expectations. So the first thing to mention after the pandemic is that every experience, the feeling is that we are now kind of reappropriating of things that we always took for granted. So think, for example, of the first time that you went back to a restaurant or you went out for a stroll. So all things that we always took for granted that suddenly were new again. So this is exactly the same feeling that brands should make people feel. So like in case of travel, in the travel industry, like they have never traveled before. So like that is a completely new experience, a new first time. And they need to make every effort to make it like something completely new again. Regarding your question, so how brands should resonate to value of customers, the first thing that I want to say is that every client is different. So actually it's not, I don't think it's right to think about targets today, because what happened is that we have new clusters that we didn't have before. So clusters that are, let's say, a product of these last 2 years that we lived. So for example, we have the careless. So people that for them, there is just no difference. They're traveling like nothing has changed. Then we have the hesitant. So people that are traveling again, but need constant reassurance on safety measures and so on. Then we have like pretentious people. So other kind of people that expect even more than before, and they don't think that actually there is an asymmetry between what people have been facing and also what brands have been facing. So it's like, okay, we went through all this, so we expect a lot more from brands now that we are, let's say, back to life again. But on the other hand, there is like no consideration for what brands and companies have been through. So that's, I think it should be more, let's say, open-minded than just working on targets and what consumers do. So for example, back for a moment to the loyalty program in Black Platinum Gold's case, the loyalty program mirrors the company's pillars. So we want the client, the consumer, to have the last word on how much they will be able to redeem their points for. So you make points with on every purchase you make. So you in the detail, you make 1 BPG point for each dollar, pound, or euro that you spend. But then, like every 500 points, you will get a 1% discount on the total order, which means that for the same amount of points that that you gained with a certain expense, you will have different, let's say, return and discounts compared to how much you're willing to spend and how much you are bidding on something that you believe in. So in the end, I want also on these consumers and travelers to have the last word on what's important to them. And I think this is a major asset in the whole emotional connection I was talking about before. So it's not just about the convenience, but it's about what it's important to you and why you should do that and how much you're willing to fight for that. So I think it's something that all of us needed after these long 2 years that we've been through.
Thank you very much, Viola. And that leads me on nicely to Amanda as well, because we've talked a little bit about how you can broaden your demographics to who you're targeting, whereas at Homes and Villas, the priority very much seems to be curating this offering for this ultra luxury niche in travel as well. So based on the number of bookings that you're seeing Marriott from Bonvoy members, how do you think loyalty is something of a differentiator to your offerings?
Yeah, so we believe right now that it's one of our key differentiators. And like I said, I think at the start, it was one of the reasons we created the platform. You know, we knew that our customers were already looking and staying at home rentals. We knew they were frustrated. We thought we could bring our expertise to the table. The loyalty program in and of itself, though, ways in which to earn points, ways in which to redeem points, right? Adding more options to our portfolio is always beneficial to our guests. And I thought it was interesting what Viola said around expectations now in a post-pandemic state. And one thing that it made me think of in the loyalty space is the idea of redemption and how you choose to use the points you have earned, right? Because they are very sacred. You feel like you've done a lot to earn these, and a lot of our guests, right, are those corporate business travels. They've been traveling a lot for work. They're now choosing to use those points on a very, very special leisure or vacation stay. They might be bringing the whole family together at a beautiful home, and that can't go wrong. That has to be extremely special, because that redemption moment and the experience they have within that moment is what is going to retain them and create that loyalty long term. So we cannot fall short. And so we look at those redemption stays and we look at the product and we say, how can we allow our members easier access to these homes and allow them to use their points that they've worked so hard to earn in this capacity? And one thing that we launched late last year to make that a bit easier was very similar to the hotel side of our business. Members can mix cash and points to pay for their stay. And so we launched the same option in the home rental space. And our members can use as little as 1,000 points to then see a discount on their stay. And that has been received tremendously well. I think you alluded to it at the beginning, but about 90% of our bookers are Bonvoy members. And in terms of broadening our appeal, we have intentionally focused on creating a product that our members are looking for, that they are confident in, and then they are in turn booking and staying with us. So yes, lots there in terms of point redemption and point earning and how our members choose to use those points for home rentals.
Ask you a question quickly, Amanda.
Yeah.
Do you know, or can you share if the percent of folks who redeem versus earn with the homes and villas versus hotels, like, is there relatively more or less redemption activity on the homes and villa side?
Yeah, so scale, right? There's obviously more
as a percentage.
So definitely it's interesting because the price point is significantly different in terms of the average rate on the hotel side to the home side, right? So you're inherently using more points on a home rental. You're inherently potentially earning more points on a home rental because that total cart price is higher. But right now our redemption stays are growing with the introduction of cash and points versus previously when the hotel side had cash and points redemption mix. Redemptions obviously much higher and still is as a total percent in comparison to our product. But since we've introduced cash and points, we're seeing members using more and more of their points, applying those to their stays. And we're talking millions and millions of points against a home rental.
Makes sense. Really interesting.
Yeah, and Parker, leading on from your point as well, do you see, I mean, if brand loyalty, such a thing actually exists, do you think it's perhaps an easier climb for hotel type loyalty membership programs to exist, or from your perspective at Oasis, is it easier for short-term rentals or corporate housing providers to drive that sort of loyalty?
From a loyalty program perspective, sort of aside from what I said about being able to go deliver sort of loyalty and repeat use on the B2B side, but kind of speaking more back to the B2C side and the kind of traditional loyalty programs. Yeah, I do think it's easier for the hotels, both because of what I said about, both because of scale, but also because as a short-term rental or sort of corporate housing operator, we're typically not owning these assets. We're almost never owning them, and and the relationship with the owner is a bit different than it is on the hotel side. So hotels typically, many of them own a lot of the buildings, they own the assets. They don't own lots of them, but the deals they have are a very specific structure. They're 20 or 30-year deals. On our side, our relationships with the homeowner has a lot more power, for several reasons. And those relationships are typically a bit more variable and flexible. And we can't do a lot without sort of the homeowner's say and the homeowner's approval. So trying to execute a program where we're offering X discount, across our portfolio of 2,000 properties, or if you book 10 nights, get one free, the organizing that with the 2,000 owners, so they're all on board and all willing to sort of play in this sandbox is super challenging. So again, a bit different if you're, there's so many business models in our space right now. If you're more hotel-esque in your product, like you're coming in as a short-term rental company and leasing an entire building, that's a bit different than the folks that are working with individual homeowners, which I feel makes the true traditional loyalty program almost impossible, frankly, to implement. So yeah, those are some considerations there.
The one thing that I think what Parker said that is also really interested and relevant for HVMI is the % off discounts and kind of just being limited in terms of rolling that out at mass scale, because the way we work in terms of our home management companies, it's a very similar challenge, right? If we want to do 10% off site wide, we've got to go out to thousands and thousands of partners and say, are you okay with this? And with the 10% off, you're immediately taking a hit to your bottom line. Both people are, right? Like both parties are. And the beauty of having a loyalty program associated with HVMI is that we can actually say, hey, we don't have to discount. We can incentivize by doing a point multiplier or a one-time bonus, or, stay 5 nights, get the 5th night free. Like we do free night awards for our hotels. And we actually found if you look back in our history, we had some more % off driven promotions early on. And we have since kind of shifted a bit to lean into our loyalty program and what we know our members find beneficial. And we have found that those loyalty promotions, those point multipliers that I mentioned, actually perform better than the immediate gratification of the discount on that exact stay. And so it was just a very interesting point from Parker when you do think of like your promotional mix, where loyalty might play a part if you were to stand up a program, that there are different incentives that exist and are out there that could motivate people to book.
And your business model, Amanda, of working exclusively with professional property management companies, how do you think that's been successful for you in driving loyalty?
Well, I mean, I think that it allows us to curate, right? And I think that's one of the biggest, things that we have tried to bring to our guests is that, we're kind of doing the hard work for you. Like we're the ones that are curating these homes based on our standards and what we feel that these homes can then deliver in terms of the expectations that our guests have. And so that model for us, it is one in which, we're not looking to be the Airbnb and have millions and millions and millions of homes on our platform. We intend to grow at a pace that ensures we can maintain that curation, we can maintain that quality, so that when it comes to brand loyalty, like with our hotels, our guests always can trust that they know what they're going to get in any home that they stay with us, right? And so that is really paramount to our business model and retention in terms of loyalty to Marriott Bonvoy and HVMI.
Excellent. And I'll go to Viola as well, because we've heard there from Parker and Amanda about these discount schemes. I know you've got something quite unique with what you're doing at Black, Platinum, Gold. So if there's any advice you could be giving to brands about how they drive customer loyalty, what do you think that would be?
Well, I think that today, I think it's instead of focusing on discounts, I think that especially in luxury, it's important that brands go the extra mile instead of giving the discount before. So instead of offering you a discount, it's better if I give you additional services and upgrade and whatever I can give it to you after. Because I'm always focused on building a long-term added value relationship. So I don't want to win you because I'm giving this to you today, but I want to build a relationship made of extra added value where you can expect and you can I can earn your trust, your gratitude, and let's say feed your expectations for the future. So honestly, today I'm seeing a lot of tentative and actually attempts on winning back. We have two different kind of consumers. We have the new ones that we want to win, and then we have the existing ones that we want to keep. I think it's important to tailor the message according to who we are talking with. So regarding the new customers that we want to win today, as I was saying before, speaking about the emotional connection, everything must be built on the consideration that I can have from you. So answering your needs even before you know that you're about to ask them. So giving you a lot of new services and things and new point of contacts that you will remember, and then you will reconnect your first travel experience after the pandemic with a positive experience, thanks to what I gave to you, and that you will remember. And then we have the existing customers that we want to keep, and also there the main message should be you are back and we're back, and we are sharing the same emotions, the same connection. And I think that yes, in the long term that pays definitely more. So for example, also think about the frequent flyer loyalty program. So there are the ones that will you need to fly with in order to keep your, let's say, platinum status. And then there are the ones that are renewing your status even if you didn't fly with them for 2 years. And the second ones are the ones that you're going to fly with for the next 10 years. So I think that this is the moment, I don't want to say give back, because it's not what you're doing, but yes, to take the extra, the first step, let's say, the extra miles before attracting you, just focusing on the convenience that can have to you. There is a more short-term strategy, and I'm always more focused on the long-term added value strategy.
Thank you, Viola, and what a good note to finish on there. This hour has completely flown by. I think we had lots more questions we could potentially ask, but I'd like to thank all of our contributors today, to Amanda, Parker, and Viola, for such a great conversation. We've got just a couple of slides we'd like to run through before we finish, and we'll also have a 2-minute countdown as well, where we can gather any more questions that people have got. So as you can see on our screen, our annual Shorties Awards for the global short-term rental industry are fast approaching on Wednesday, the 18th of May at Skyline London. The voting period is open now for these awards until this Friday at midnight UK time, and the link is in the chat. I know that Oasis and Homes and Villas by Marriott International are both on the shortlist, so congratulations to you both. And hope to see many of you there in person as well. So ticket details you can find in the chat. And we're back on Tuesday the 5th of May for our next short-term rentals webinar, which is called Why Hospitality Automation is the Next Big Thing, in partnership with Journey. So I hope you can join us then too by signing up for the session in the chat or by scanning the QR code on the screen. And for sponsorship opportunities, please do contact my colleague Katie. Her details are on the screen for you there. Big thank you again to Flywire and NoiseAware for sponsoring our Rockstars series and session. We're going to keep the session open, as I said, for another 2 minutes. So our speakers are going to hang around. You can jot down any details that have been left in the chat, and you to also connect with our speakers. Feel free to contact us via our various channels, So all that's left for me to say is a big thank you again to everyone for listening. Big thank you to our speakers too, and we'll see you all again very soon. Thank you very much, everyone.